On its way. It's right there.
This is the best day of my life. Thank you so much. First of all, I just want to say I felt the whole film in my stomach, and it was doing like a volleyball game between my heart and my stomach. Thank you. I'm gonna make this really quick before I get like super emotional. I just want to say thank you to all of you. And do you feel that because there are a lot of parallels and similarities between like what was happening then and what's happening now? Do you hope that because we can now resonate with this character of Martin Luther King as a person, that we have that power and we regain that strength as youth to move forward and to have that fear, but also have the courage to move forward? Do you hope that your film can help us do that?
Yeah, that's the thing that I think most excites me about this film coming out, is that it does remind us all that it's that there is a Martin Luther King in all of us in some ways. In some ways he was an ordinary man that just had to rise to extraordinary situations, and he did it with a band of people that had to do the same. And I think it reminds us that we all have to be participatory at all levels, from ground level right up to the presidency, to really make things move and make things change and happen. And it's exciting because this really is a blueprint for how you do it, and it actually reminds us that it can be done and actually lead to policy change, lead to real meaningful change. And I think when I was watching like the Occupy Wall Street movement, or even what was going on in Egypt, and other movements, that there's been a desire for change but not really sure where it's leading and so on. I feel like this is very different in the people that are on the ground level right now. They're recognizing that you have to have strategy. They're recognizing that there has to be a real intention, a real goal. And this film, I think, just I would hope, if anyone that's out there with that intention, that they are reminded, seeing this film, that it can actually result in something meaningful.
I'm going to go over to this side, to be fair, right on the aisle, please.
You, brother, you right there.
Hi, my name is John Tay. Again, I just want to say incredible job. Congratulations on a powerful film. My question actually has to do with a technical question, I guess, in regards to Bradford. You had a lot of angles that were going up. Was that for a specific reason? Just out of curiosity.
Yes, you mean low angles where you see him up? Yes. There was an idea there that, we are used to seeing King on a pulpit. We're used to seeing him where he's here, and so you're looking up at him. But we also wanted to deconstruct that, so you get a lot of him in profile, and we start to use a lot of him from behind, three-quarter back, is what we call it. So it's progressive in the film, where early on you're seeing him from more low angles. And at times where we're deconstructing. So like in the scene we call the crucifixion, when after Turnaround Sunday, all his homies are mad at him in the church. It's the empty church, and they're talking to him about why he did it. You see the extreme low angle, just kind of skewering the idea of him being on a pulpit, because he's literally in the position of the pulpit. You see the cross behind him. You're asking me deep questions. I'm breaking it down for you. You see the cross behind him. Usually the angle would be low, like an audience member, but it's a deconstruction, because he is in an uncomfortable, awkward position. He is basically on the cross. He's being crucified by his folks, so it's brought down. So literally the camera was at his feet when you're looking up. And that was one of our very famous cameramen, Arthur Jaffa, who did that shot. And so, we're always thinking about ways to deconstruct the frames, to do things that make you feel something, our crazy ideas about what that is, and how all of these angles have a cumulative effect and begin to speak to you in some way. Bradford and I come up with 100 ideas, maybe 10 of them make it into a scene, and we just put it all in a stew and hope it gives you the heart and head, stomach thing. You know what I mean? That's the goal.
Is that something that you intentionally were working towards in our scene, where I'm really mad at him?
When you're really mad at him. Yeah.
Because he's sitting, and there's a perspective where I'm above him,
yes,
which happens spontaneously, but it ultimately creates that same effect where he's sort of being looked down upon in a way that you typically see the inverse, right?
Well, I always knew that the end of the scene was going to be you standing over him. I knew that. Because I've experienced that. You have to stand over a brother and tell him how about himself. Do you understand? Dee Dee knows. That's what the ladies know. And you know too. They all know. So I knew it was going to end there, but I thought, remember when we were first blocking, I was like, does he come through the door? How are we feeling about this? And we decided, and it was really David who said, I feel like I would just be pinned here in some way. And so the whole idea that all the blocking would be you progressively getting closer, you both starting seated, and then you starting to, something that I knew the end of the scene was going to be you standing over. But that's the great thing when you get amazing actors in a room together, you're really working on blocking and trying to figure out those things. I mean, I know with you, I would have...
What are you going to say?
I would have an idea. I mean, she's a strong actor, and she has a strong point of view. She really knew this character, and she knew her inside and out. She had a specific idea about her. So it was a bit of a dance of just trying to figure out what would make her comfortable and how I would maybe be able to get to some of the ideas in my head. And so yeah, there were some times that worked super smoothly, and other times when sisters had to get into it a little bit. But
it was worth it, right?
It was worth it ultimately, yes.
Yes, right there. Yes.
Hi, thank you for making such a great movie, and I love hearing your sense of humor and speaking about it. It's kind of a cool dichotomy, and you don't hear that in a lot of directors. But my question is less about the movie and more about what we can do now specifically, and I think it's intended for you, Ava, mostly. But there are so many ideas in the movie, and it's really inspiring and leaves me feeling like, okay, I want to do something. I don't want to feel the apathy that I think is plaguing my generation. So do you have any suggestions or ideas that are tangible? Because as much as I want to be someone who's more like Dr. King and the people portrayed in this film, I'm not. But what can I do just as me, as a citizen of the world?
Yes, thanks for the question. I think you answered it yourself. I'm a storyteller. I just tell the story. Whatever you're bringing into it in this time in your life, whatever your head and heart is at right now, meets this work and has a chemical effect. And whatever you're feeling is the answer. You know what I mean? It's not what I think it should be. It's whatever you bring to the piece that is your takeaway. And so I think you answered it. You want to do something. So you have to figure out what that is. For other people, they're angry. For other people, they may shut down and say, this is hopeless, it's cyclical, it's never going to change. I'm taking this film all around the country, and I'm hearing everyone's different, because you walk into this space with yourself, and I give you myself, and they give you their selves. And it's whatever that all adds up to be. So I love where you are, what your answer is. I don't know if you heard your own answer, but I heard it. And so that's what art is. What does it make you feel? So I hope that's not too esoteric for you.
No, that's perfect. So I just wanted to bring it back to an observation that I've had in this moment, and certainly through this film. Carmen, it kind of comes through your relationship with David, and in that scene especially, where it becomes very clear that here's this man, this icon, this towering figure, who actually has an anchor. And Coretta Scott King was that anchor for him. I mean, you mentioned that in terms of her mentoring even him earlier on. This, for me, feels like a moment for black women. And part of that is absolutely, amplified, and your success is emblematic of that moment. And I do want to give you serious props. I mean, I don't really go there very often with people, but you've accomplished something historic. And I hope to God that there's no going back from the idea of a black woman being the hottest property in Hollywood and seriously acknowledged as a great visionary. But your film also reminds us that it is black women who are there, right? They're the ones, especially now, the widows and the mothers of the lost, who pick up the pieces and keep the momentum going. And certainly Coretta Scott did Scott King did that, and I don't know. I just wanted to give you a bit of a moment and an acknowledgement of how important I think that will be historically for what you've accomplished with this film. So bravo.
For that.
The film opens on Christmas Day.
The film opens here on Christmas Day and in New York, and just added Atlanta and DC due to demand, which is nice. And then wide on January 9th, and people need to go see it. I mean, people need to, it needs to do a certain thing. It needs to do a certain thing, and it's really unfortunate in some ways, and it's a gift in other ways. It's a gift because it's scarce that we're seeing films that all of us, black, white, otherwise, brown, wherever you're from, are seeing films with protagonists of color made through the gaze of filmmakers and storytellers of color. It's rare. So when it happens, it's a gift. But when it happens, it's also really necessary that it works, because this success will dictate what happens next year. Just like McQueen and Daniels and Coogler's success last year made this year possible. Yeah. And unfortunately, this is the construct that we work in. It is a show and prove every single time for a certain kind of filmmaker, and we accept that that's what it is, and we do the work within it. But we really do have to ask for people to step up and make it possible, not just for Selma to be a success, but if we want to continue to see this stuff, there's certain filmmakers that can make it, fail, and continue on. And they should be able to do that. Good for them. That's what art is. But we can't. Yeah. Can't fail because you won't continue on. It's got to work. So I just invite you to please use the tweets, use the Instagram. What do the young people do, Common?
Snapchat.
The Snapchats. Tell the old-fashioned Pony Express guy, right, please. But really, if each one teaches one, if each one brings someone, and even if you've seen it here, if you get one person, you've already seen it, but get one person to go in that first weekend, it makes a difference.
Well, I can't imagine anyone better positioned to make that happen than you, Ava. So congratulations, and keep up that stamina. Good luck, guys.
Thanks.